Dear Scopely, your friendly neighborhood cat person here with a letter sourced from the players. This letter will address many of the issues floating around in the community and possible solutions that can be implemented to make these happier days for everyone. First, simply implementation. The lack of cohesion between game design and live ops is blaringly obvious, dating as far back as Wave Defense. It seems that every month a new design comes out, you have events that are designed in direct conflict with how design intended the loop to be played. Mirror Universe, for example, encouraged entry every single day, when originally game design specified entry every 3 days. Solo Wave Defense, same way. Sources directives every 3 days, but events in launch month that demanded participation on a daily basis. This month, you're looking at Flashpoint that has a design that honestly is mostly acceptable, with challenging hostiles, stretch goals, and some rewarding refinery options, notwithstanding some of the math on the cost of the refines. Yet, we have events that are working on the assumption that you just simply hit the level of hostile that is equal to your ops. But that's not how this feature was designed. There are content and loot drops that come from very specific hostiles that may require a punch up, but that's not how this feature was designed. There are content and loot drops that come from specific hostiles that may require a punch up or a punch down, depending on the type of canisters that you need. Further, you have the silent hostiles model that prevents too much of a punch down, which honestly is fine in design. But the events, solo milestones, and all of the rest of the content are written to completely ignore this part of the design. So there has to be better cohesion between Scopely's left and right hands. And by the way, when there is cohesion there, it's easier for the vocal piece of Scopely, your CMs and communications teams, to confidently present the goals of the feature, the arc, and the game, as well as strategies and helpful suggestions to players. Not to mention, you just simply have a more favorable experience to players in month one. Obviously, like so many arcs in the past, this is challenging up front. No one is denying that. One of the most amazing challenges up front, though, was Wrath of Khan, ever so recently. It was so difficult, so grindy, but completely grindable. And then the Reliant was offered as a tool to improve the arc. I have to ask, is this month presenting a series of events that are challenging or impossible? Next problem that we've got here with Flashpoint is the lack of attention to detail. A number of issues have arisen simply because the I's weren't dotted and the T's haven't been crossed. A number of compensation chests have been issued simply because of a disconnect between how the events are being written, scored, and played. An IMS has been pulled, resetting progress for the entire galaxy. Certain systems wouldn't score. A whole level of hostiles were excluded from the events to begin with. During a Flashpoint event, the Hurok hostiles should also be dropping canisters, in addition to their current currency. You're effectively doubling an already intense grind during a Flashpoint event that runs 3 times this month and requires quite literally hundreds of thousands of hostiles to be killed by the server. I'm going to say that again. Hundreds of thousands. You've indicated that the hostile cap will not be changed. And if that's going to be the case, then how are players expected to continue to add grinds like this while maintaining your previous content? Again, challenging or impossible. Many players know me as the objective, math-based creator that doesn't let feelings get in the way most of the time. And sometimes that is necessary. But when the feelings of the entire player base are frustrated, discouraged, and put off, does it actually matter if it's mathematically possible that there was an event that literally required dozens of hours of mining on day 1 of this arc? Dozens of hours. By the way, that mining had to be performed in hazard systems, so it's not just set and forget. You're talking multiple repairs, sendbacks, dealing with chasers, and the hazards themselves, with no mechanics to even deal with this, here in month 1 anyway. By the time you release the tool in month 2 or month 5, players are over it. Done. Written off completely, because it's simply not fun. This is a game, after all. We would all do well to remember that, players and Scopely alike. Though Scopely, I warn, when players are continuously exposed to a game that's not fun, eventually their love of the franchise will simply not be enough to prevent them from losing out to other games out there that may actually be fun. Mathematically, let's make this more challenging and less impossible by implementing the following changes to the actual feature itself. How about we introduce a guaranteed role of directives in the refinery, while also reducing the cost of these refineries to support a less intensive manual and active grind. You could also ease up on the restrictions of grade loot within specific hostiles. Take an example from Wrath of Khan and allow all hostiles to drop varying amounts of uncommon and rare canisters. Currently, with so few systems, increasingly difficult hazards, and even fewer numbers of hostiles, there are many players who are actually prohibited from pulling rare and maybe even uncommon canisters because they simply can't kill the hostile. Design-wise, it should be recognized by all that hostiles are stretch goals, meaning that the mining is the most important piece of this loop and fuels the refinery for artifacts. The hostiles just give extra stuff. But does it feel good to see something that is impossible for you to engage in? Ask an Ops 52 or even an Ops 61 if it makes sense for them to see a refinery that they literally will not be able to touch for at least 3 to 4 more Ops levels. Further, with the disconnect from live Ops, you're seeing events that actually mandate them to kill the chasers, even if it's providing them with a loot they cannot use. It makes no sense. Or is that yet another misstep with this feature? Next, you must drastically reduce the cost of the canister pulls. Even if it's meant as a stretch goal, that piece of the loop only provides more value but isn't necessary. Then the cost should reflect that they are indeed a bonus. Not impossible, but a challenge. While you're at it, know that the mining piece of the refinery could use some adjustments, but will most certainly be solved by future content as well as time. Players recognize the benefit in the Forge mining bonuses, so single pulls should be reduced while the stretch goals could have been higher in double and triple pulls. Because up front, day one, initially these pulls are far too difficult. But these goals would have been made more interesting with the introduction of hazard resistance research available to G4 and G5 players. I am on record saying that hazards add a strategic level to this game, and I support them, mainly for G6, because participation in the hazard systems earned hazard resistance. Where is that capability for G4 and G5? They play in the hazard system and are doomed to forever be destroyed with no potential for longer life or strategic play. The hazard may make it difficult to get that original single refine early, but long term, it should be a strategic goal to deal with the hazard to earn your double and triple pulls through the refinery. All of these problems may be solved with a skin or a ship in the future, but I'm sure that ship or skin won't be free to play in the first month unless you adopt the absolutely wonderful model from Wrath of Khan, which I am going to encourage you to do. But if not, look at what would be total of 5 months from the start in which players will be unable to reasonably achieve the goals that this arc sets. Is this challenging or is it discouraging? Will players write it off or will they chase the impossible? This is 6 months inside Star Trek Fleet Command. Can you afford for players to disengage from your primary form of content for 6 additional months? Only you guys are able to make that determination. I invite all of you, whether you're players, whether you're staffers, to view this objectively, analytically, and without emotion. Players, leave your comments down below and let the Scopely staff know how you feel about Flashpoint. It is absolutely vital that we share our feedback in a positive and professional manner in order to implement change for this to be beneficial to all players. My name is UltimatDJz, live from Hilton Head, which is why I'm not being very ranty, because I'm having a good time. I wish all of you would be having a good time inside the game as well. And I'll let you know when I hear something from Scopely HQ. Meow for now, love you a minute, catch you on the next one. Bye everybody.